Please subscribe, hit the like button, and let us know in the comments where you are watching from. My name is Victoria Lane, and I discovered my fiancé Marcus having an affair with my maid of honor the night before our wedding. Instead of canceling, I let the ceremony proceed, then exposed everything in front of 200 guests while revealing he'd been stealing from me and his affair partner was pregnant. I found them in my apartment bedroom at 11 p.m. the night before my wedding. I'd forgotten my phone after the rehearsal dinner and came back to get it. The apartment was supposed to be empty. Marcus was at his bachelor party, and I was supposed to be at a hotel with my bridesmaids, but I heard noises from the bedroom, opened the door expecting to find an intruder. Found Marcus and my best friend Sarah, my maid of honor, in my bed. They were so absorbed they didn't hear me at first. I stood in the doorway, phone in hand, recording video of them together. Got a full minute of footage before Marcus finally noticed me. Victoria, he scrambled to cover himself, his face going pale. Sarah sat up, pulling the sheet around her, looking more annoyed than guilty. You weren't supposed to be here, clearly. My voice sounded strange to my own ears, too calm, too detached. How long? Victoria, please, let me explain. How long have you been sleeping with my maid of honor? Marcus and Sarah exchanged a look. Then Sarah spoke, her voice hard. 2 years, since before you got engaged. 2 years. The entire time Marcus and I had been planning our future, he'd been with Sarah, my best friend since college, the woman I'd asked to stand beside me at my wedding. The wedding's tomorrow, I said, still in that strange calm voice. Did you plan to continue this after we were married? We love each other, Sarah said. She dared to look defiant. Marcus was going to leave you after the wedding. We just had to get through tomorrow first. Why not cancel the wedding? Marcus found his voice. Your father paid for everything, the venue, the catering, everything. If we canceled, he'd want his money back. This way, after the wedding, I could divorce you, and he'd already be out of the money. I understood then. This wasn't just an affair. This was a plan. Marcus had been using me, staying with me for financial benefit, while planning to leave immediately after securing the wedding costs my father had paid. And you, I looked at Sarah, my best friend, you've been sleeping with my fiancé for 2 years and stood with me through wedding planning, knowing you'd help him leave me. You have everything, Victoria, Sarah said bitterly. Rich parents, successful career, perfect life. Marcus and I actually love each other. You were just the meal ticket he needed before we could be together. I could have screamed, cried, or collapsed. Instead, I felt something cold and calculating settle over me. The wedding's still happening tomorrow, I said. They both stared at me. You want to get through the wedding? Fine, we'll get through it. I'll see you both there. I left before either could respond, taking my phone with the video evidence, already planning exactly how I'd destroy them both. I spent the night gathering evidence instead of sleeping. First, I hired a private investigator, called her at midnight, paid emergency rates to have her start immediately. She'd investigated Marcus before when I'd had vague suspicions, found nothing. Now, I wanted her to dig deeper. By 6 a.m., she'd found disturbing information. Marcus had been stealing from me, small amounts at first from our shared expenses account, then larger sums. Over 2 years, he'd taken approximately $80,000, using my credit cards for purchases he claimed were for wedding expenses that never materialized, transferring money from joint accounts and forging my signature on loan applications. He's been systematically draining your finances, the investigator said. And there's more. Sarah is pregnant. 3 months, she's been seeing a prenatal specialist using insurance from her job. Sarah was pregnant with Marcus's child. That's why they'd been waiting until after the wedding. They needed time for the pregnancy to progress while maintaining the illusion until Marcus could access marital assets through divorce. I also discovered Marcus had taken out a life insurance policy on me 6 months ago, $500,000 with him as sole beneficiary. He'd forged my signature, something the investigator confirmed by comparing it to authentic documents. Marcus hadn't just been planning to divorce me after the wedding. He'd been preparing to potentially kill me for insurance money. The pieces fell into place with sickening clarity. The brake issues with my car 2 months ago that the mechanic said looked suspicious. The gas leak in our apartment could have been deadly if I hadn't noticed the smell, the food poisoning I'd gotten from a meal that only I ate. Marcus had prepared. Marcus had been trying to kill me, make it look accidental, collect insurance money, and be with Sarah without the hassle of divorce. I had 8 hours until the wedding. I used every minute. I contacted a divorce attorney at 7 a.m., Catherine Morrison, known for handling complex cases with criminal elements. Don't marry him, Catherine said after hearing everything. Cancel the wedding, press charges, protect yourself. No, the wedding happens. I need it to happen for what I'm planning. That's extremely risky. I have evidence of theft, attempted murder, insurance fraud, and an affair. I want to expose everything publicly, then have him arrested at the altar. Can you arrange that? Catherine was silent for a moment. Yes, but you understand this will be very public. Your humiliation, his crimes, everything exposed in front of everyone you know. They'll think it's my humiliation, but it'll be his destruction. Can you help me or not? Give me 3 hours. Catherine worked with prosecutors to prepare arrest warrants based on my evidence: theft, fraud, attempted murder. They agreed to execute them at the wedding ceremony for maximum impact. And to ensure Marcus couldn't flee, I also prepared something else. A video presentation for the wedding reception, supposedly a montage of our relationship, actually, a compilation of evidence, footage of Marcus and Sarah in bed, financial records showing theft, documentation of the forged life insurance policy, medical records of Sarah's pregnancy, and a recording of Marcus and Sarah admitting their plan to use me until they could be together. I arrived at the venue at noon, acting like a nervous bride. My family had no idea what I'd discovered. My father kept asking if I was okay, noting I looked exhausted. Just wedding jitters, I lied, getting into my dress, letting my bridesmaids fuss over me. Sarah was there, of course, my maid of honor, pregnant with my fiancé's child, helping me get ready to marry him. She looked nervous, kept glancing at her phone, probably texting Marcus. Everything's going to be perfect, Sarah said with fake enthusiasm. Yes, I agreed, it really is. The ceremony started at 4 p.m. with 200 guests. I walked down the aisle, in my $8,000 dress, holding my father's arm, looking at Marcus waiting at the altar in his tuxedo. He looked nervous, kept glancing at Sarah standing with the bridesmaids. The officiant began the ceremony, got through most of the traditional words, then asked if anyone objected to the marriage. I do, I said clearly. Everyone froze. The officiant looked confused. I'm sorry, I object to this marriage. I have evidence. My fiancé has been having an affair with my maid of honor for 2 years, has stolen $80,000 from me, and has attempted to murder me for life insurance money. The room erupted. My father stood up. Marcus's face went white. Sarah looked like she might faint. Victoria, what are you talking about? Marcus tried to sound confused, concerned. I pulled out my phone, handed it to the videographer I'd briefed earlier. Play the video. The large screens set up for the reception, supposedly to show our relationship montage, instead showed footage of Marcus and Sarah in bed. Their voices were clear as they discussed their plan. We just have to get through the wedding, video, Sarah said. Then Marcus can divorce her, and we can be together. She won't fight it, she's too trusting. Her father's already paid for everything, video, Marcus said. And with the life insurance policy I took out, if something happens to her, we'd be set. The wedding guests watched in stunned silence as the video showed financial records next to my bank statements with Marcus's forged signatures, loan applications he'd submitted fraudulently, and the life insurance policy with my forged signature. Then came the medical records showing Sarah's pregnancy. Marcus tried to run, but prosecutors had positioned officers at the exits. They arrested him at the altar, handcuffing him in his tuxedo while reading his rights. Marcus, read, you're under arrest for fraud, theft, attempted murder, and conspiracy. Sarah was arrested to conspiracy and accessory after the fact. She screamed as officers led her away in her bridesmaid dress. 3 months pregnant with Marcus's child. My father stood in the front row, tears streaming down his face, from joy, but from horror and rage at what Marcus had done to me. I stood at the altar in my wedding dress, watching them both get arrested, and I felt nothing but cold satisfaction. The trial lasted for months and destroyed both Marcus and Sarah completely. Prosecutors had overwhelming evidence: the video of them together and admitting their plan, the financial records showing systematic theft, the forged insurance documents, and testimony from mechanics and investigators about the suspicious accidents I'd experienced. An arson investigator also found evidence that the gas leak in my apartment had been deliberately caused. Marcus had tampered with the line, hoping I'd die from carbon monoxide poisoning or an explosion. Marcus was convicted on all counts: attempted murder, fraud, theft, and conspiracy. The judge sentenced him to 35 years in prison, with no possibility of parole for 25 years. Sarah was convicted as an accessory and conspiracy, got 15 years, gave birth in prison, and the baby was placed with her parents since she couldn't care for a child while incarcerated. But a criminal conviction wasn't enough for me. The wedding videos showing their arrest, the evidence, and Marcus's attempted murder went viral. Millions of people watched the bride who'd exposed her fiancé's crimes at the altar. Marcus and Sarah became infamous, their faces associated with betrayal and attempted murder. I filed massive civil suits, won judgments against both of them totaling $2 million, money they'd never be able to pay, but that would burden them forever. I also did something darker. I ensured Marcus's life in prison was as difficult as possible, used connections to make sure other inmates knew exactly what he'd done: tried to murder his fiancée for insurance money after cheating with her best friend. Men who hurt women aren't treated well in prison. Marcus was attacked repeatedly, spent years in protective custody, and suffered psychological breakdowns from the isolation and violence. Sarah's life wasn't better. She lost custody of her child permanently after serving her sentence. Her parents raised the baby but refused to let Sarah have contact. Her professional reputation was destroyed. No one would hire her. She lived in poverty, working minimum wage when she could find work, completely alone. I rebuilt my life successfully. The $80,000 Marcus stole was returned through restitution and civil judgments. My father felt guilty about supporting the wedding financially, and tried to make it up by helping me buy a house. The publicity from the wedding video led to a book deal. I wrote about the experience of discovering betrayal and how to protect yourself from financial abuse. It became a bestseller, earning me more money than Marcus ever stole. I became an advocate for victims of financial abuse and intimate partner violence. Used my platform to help others recognize warning signs, protect their assets, and survive betrayal. 10 years after the wedding that never was, Marcus is 50, serving year 10 of his 35-year sentence. He's been attacked multiple times in prison, has severe PTSD, and will likely never be released even when eligible for parole due to his deteriorating mental state. Sarah is 46, has never recovered from prison, lives alone in poverty. Her child doesn't know her, and her parents won't allow contact. She attempted suicide twice, struggles with severe depression, and will likely never have a normal life. I'm 45, financially successful, author of 2 best-selling books, happily remarried to a man who treats me with respect and honesty. My first wedding may have ended in arrest and humiliation, but it also ended with justice. Some people say I should have canceled the wedding, handled everything privately, not made such a public spectacle of Marcus and Sarah's arrest. Those people don't understand what it's like to discover the person you trusted most tried to murder you for insurance money, to find your best friend pregnant with your fiance's child, to realize every moment of your relationship was a lie constructed to steal from you. Marcus and Sarah thought they'd get through the wedding, divorce me, and be together with my father's money and potentially my life insurance. Instead, they were arrested at the altar in front of 200 guests, convicted of serious crimes, and spent the next decade and will spend decades more paying for what they tried to do to me. The night before my wedding, I discovered my fiancé's affair with my maid of honor. I could have canceled, walked away, or dealt with it privately. Instead, I gave him a shock at the ceremony he'll regret forever: his arrest, his conviction, his life sentence, essentially, all witnessed by everyone he knew. Marcus wanted to use me, steal from me, possibly kill me, then move on with Sarah. Now he's in prison, broken and alone. serving decades for attempting to murder the woman he pretended to love. Sarah wanted my fiancé, my life, my security, willing to betray our friendship for it. Now she's isolated, impoverished, and permanently separated from the child she had with Marcus, her reputation destroyed, and I'm thriving, wealthy, successful, genuinely happy, living the life they tried to steal from me. That's not just revenge, that's poetic justice.